All right. Well, it looks like we have a few people joining us today, which is wonderful. And I'm excited to hear your thoughts and your experience, of course, on being a community builder, in particular, building a nation. And we're talking today about why it is really critical for women business owners to have a community and how that is kind of different, maybe, than it was in the past from traditional networking. So I'd love for you to just kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your community, Her Nation.
Yeah, so my name is Sabrina Victoria. The community that I run is called Her Nation. It's predominantly for female entrepreneurs, although there's all sorts in there. We really hone in on three pillars: health, wealth, and leadership. I believe that those are the three things that more often than not I see women struggling with,
Mhm.
and the three things that so many women ignore. We ignore our health, we ignore our wealth, and we ignore our leadership skills. Um, so really honing in on that and paying attention to that. It's twofold. So on the front end, we concentrate on media. So we have podcasting, panels, events. We're launching our digital magazine at the beginning of April and March. And then the back end of Her Nation is all the support around entrepreneurs. So masterminding, networking, business growth workshops to really help support women on that journey of entrepreneurship. So many times we're told, when we have a passion, we're in corporate and we have a passion and we're like, just jump into entrepreneurship, open your own business and follow your heart. And then we do that. We follow our hearts, our heart-centered females out there. And we open up a website and then we're waiting for our $10,000, right? We're all told, come on entrepreneurship and you'll be making $10,000 a month. And then all we hear is crickets. And then we're really confused. And then we bump into what's called as imposter syndrome right now. So it's all kind of just it's a journey. It's a very interesting and somewhat lonely sometimes and somewhat hair pulling journey that we're all on. And we support that.
Nice. Yeah. And I think one of the pieces, with having a female centered community and in particular with entrepreneurship kind of at the cornerstone of that is that when you're on that journey, like you said, you have these different ways that you support women. How do you think that that is different from maybe some of the traditional networking that we've seen in the past?
Yeah, well, the cool thing about being in a community is you're starting to see familiar faces. So, a lot of times I have found in networking groups that tend to turn over often is you are meeting new people, which is awesome. But at the same time, when you're meeting so many new people, it's hard to actually foster real relationships where people remember you and remember to recommend you. So, um, when you're in a community, especially along, well, really anything, it could be a mom community, it could be a bike community, it could be an entrepreneurial community, but people really start to get to know you. When people really get to know you, then that's when they can really start leveraging each other's resources and platforms and connections because you're at the top of mind consistently because you're really starting to foster like real relationships.
Right. Yeah. And I think maybe that's where sort of that different style, if you will. I think maybe there were those groups maybe 20, 30 years ago where it was more of like a local presence and you did start to get to know people. And then we kind of went through a phase of sort of our attention spans are so short, everything on social media, and going to networking events where and meet someone once, but then what was the follow up, you know, uh, creates sort of a whole nother downstream piece that, especially as women, I don't think that style particularly feels meaningful or genuine. It feels fast and it feels transactional. And so I think what you're building in your community and what I've seen in some other online networking groups that are specifically for women is that environment. Have that consistency, you have the same women showing up again and again, and there is a real genuine sense of collaboration, and the desire to help each other.
Yeah.
To say like, hey, I went through that too, you know, and here's what I did. This might work for you, it might not. So having that at your back when, especially if you're a solopreneur, or even if you have, you know, 2 or 3 employees, so you have a little bit of a team, but you're still at the lead, having some other people, eh, you know, in your space who are there, and you know you can always reach out to when things get challenging, which they inevitably do.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of a key piece of what a community can provide for women business owners. Would you say that's true, or you have a different take?
No, definitely 100%. I think that that's right on the button there. You know, so many times, especially when we're in a leadership role, like you said, it's hard for us to say that we're having trouble, say
Mm-hmm.
that we are struggling, say that we're dealing with some challenges in our business that we don't understand, or we're frustrated, or whatever it is. So when you can really build a community around that and have a safe space where you can speak openly with other people who are also enduring very similar challenges, then that allows you to be able to overcome those, see that you're not the only one, and then hear stories of how other people got over it, so you can scale that wall quicker than if you were all on your own. One of the things that I talk about often, which I know is, you know, so many of us who have left corporate, there's this thought of like, oh, corporate's bad and it sucks, and you know, F the man, or whatever it is. But there's also community in corporate, right? Like you have your girlfriend right next door in the cubicle who kind of annoys you sometimes, but you still go to lunch with her. And then you have your little chat going where you talk shit about your boss, or, you know, if you're having trouble with a project, you can go over to the girl who always helps you out, who's in the corner, and to help. And there's like a community feel with our jobs. And when we jump into entrepreneurship, we think like, oh, drop the toxicity, drop the boss, drop that. But you also lost community. So that's one of the things that I really focus on is like, yes, by yourself and you don't have a boss, but like, where is your community? Like, where are your people where when you're having trouble with a project, where you can go and say, hey, I'm having issues with this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and talk about it and complain about it and get over it, you know, whatever it is, which is what you used to have when you were working in corporate.
Mm-hmm.
I remember so many times, you know, a boss would give me something to do and I'd be like, I didn't understand any of that. I have no idea what she just asked me to do. So then I would just talk to my neighbor. I'd be like, did you hear any of that? And she'd be like, oh, and then we'd brainstorm together and freaking figure it out because I was too scared to ask. Same thing with entrepreneurship. None of us have any idea what we're doing. We're learning new platforms. We're learning new ways to communicate. We have no clue what we're doing. We're sitting at our desk by ourselves, pulling our hair out, trying to figure out how to use a new CRM, right? So like, who are you going to? So the
Mm-hmm.
community that we're building on the backside of Her Nation is that, like, so you can come and you can say, hey, listen, I just freaking spent a week trying to figure out this thing and I still have this issue with this thing. And then somebody else can say, me too. And then you figure it out, and it eases the pain.
Yeah, yeah. Again, that collaborative spirit, and that sense of, you know, building a space where you can be vulnerable, you can ask for help,
Yeah,
and where you have sort of a sense of like, oh, this person is really good at that. Whereas, you know, like you said, in the corporate space, you knew who was in IT, who was in marketing, who was in sales, etc.
exactly.
Kind of go to those specialties, and then when you take it all on yourself and you're trying to figure it out, you do need those specialists, and sometimes you aren't in the position to hire out, or you just have a quick question like you're saying, and you want to go and get some help with that. So
Exactly. And what Kristen is saying right here is exactly what I talk about all the time is our
mhm,
spouses don't understand it. They don't get it. And same with our friends. You know, I have tons of girlfriends, but they're stay-at-home moms or they work for corporate. They're doing their own thing. Very few of them, if any of them, before my community, were entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
So it's like to complain about something, it's so out of their realm. They'll listen, but they have absolutely no feedback. They have no, it's like, sorry about that. What are you cooking for dinner?
Yeah. And sometimes too, like you don't necessarily want to drag that through into, the family space or the space or whatever, because that is kind of an outlet away from your business. And as an entrepreneur, you feel like you're in your business 24/7 a lot of the time. So it is good to have that separate space and separate people who help you in different ways in different parts of your life. So that's an excellent point as well. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. Is there anything that you want to share with those who'll be watching now, obviously, or later in terms of getting involved with Her Nation, or any recommendations that you have about seeking out a particular community that is a good fit for you as a female business owner?
Yeah, I mean, one of the differentiators with Her Nation and other women community groups, because there's a lot out there. I didn't know it when I first started. When I first started, I thought I was brilliant. I'm like, I'm going to make $1 million. This is the most brilliant idea on the face of the planet. And then before I know it, I realized I now know that there's hundreds of them all over the place, thousands of them. But I think the difference between what we're doing with Her Nation and a lot of other groups is I really focus on leveraging each other's resources. So we aren't just here, just like, cheering each other on like cheerleaders. We're actually all going in with the mindset of how can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
And because we're all going in with that same exact mindset of not what can I get, but what can I give,
Mm-hmm.
you are now in and amongst a community where you're looking at 100 faces, and they're all there to help me.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can be around something like that, because everybody else is having that same exact mindset, the 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 amount of resources that you can then receive is double, triple, quadruple than what you would get in possibly another community. So really honing in on what do you have, right? And then what do I have? And where can we actually leverage that so we can both take a step up is what I'm really honing in on. So the support that we can give each other. So I'm really seeing it as kind of like I always say like X's,
Mm-hmm.
where we're actually like crossing each other over. And when you start to pile on those X's, they're like triangles or pyramids. And they say that those are the strongest thing. If you look at the bridges, all the bridges have triangles. And that's where the structure is. And that's what we're really trying to bring. So it's not like everyone for themselves. It's we're actually building an enormous bridge or foundation for each other to be able to rise on top of. So super, super excited about it. Love the women within my community, and more than happy to have anybody here listening come visit us and check us out.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that spirit of generosity and giving, and recognizing that when you get into a community, it's not just about what you get, but it really is about what you give. And I think women naturally collaborate in terms of how we're socialized. A lot of times, that's a little bit more of a comfort zone for us. So that's great to hear. Well, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about her?
Yeah, so my website's super easy. For me, it's sabrinavictoria.com. My name, sabrinavictoria.com. And you can see everything that I have going on right there. The website for Her Nation is down right now because we are transitioning into our digital magazine, launching end of March, beginning of April. So you can go to hernation.life, but it's just a front page right now. But that'll be launching. We're looking for contributors to our magazine right now. We have about 30 writers right now. We're, looking to grab a couple of more and really have an awesome, awesome launch within the next few weeks of some really awesome content.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing that content out there, and it would encourage all of you women business owners out there found the right fit of community yet, or you haven't, even consider diving into one. There are a lot of
Yeah.
benefits to it. Um, if you've got any notions of it being clicky and maybe some stuff from the past, either Sabrina and I are happy to talk you through that. That's not generally the case anymore. It really is a
Yeah.
great space to be in.
100%.
So
You just have to find your tribe. You have to find your people. That's all it is. There's several. I know I've joined for you before, and I'm like, I do not belong here.
there, right. There are fits for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's okay.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you sharing your expertise and background, and we look forward to watching Her Nation grow and hearing from you again in the future.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thanks. Bye bye.